Okay, so let's pull back the curtain on something we all totally rely on, but, rarely think about: ocean freight. How does all the stuff we buy actually get from one side of the world to the other? I bet when you picture it, you imagine something kind of like this, right? A container gets put on a ship, the ship sails a nice straight line across the ocean, and poof, it just arrives. Simple, clean, direct. But what if I told you that picture, that simple mental model, is almost always wrong? In reality, it's way more interesting than that. In fact, let's just call that idea what it is: the simple myth. And look, it's an easy way to think about it, but it completely misses the hidden and, frankly, brilliant complexity of how global trade actually gets done. And this slide, this gets right to the heart of it. The myth is that simple A to B line. The reality? It's this incredibly sophisticated, complex global network. It's not about one ship's journey at all. It's about how thousands of ships and millions of containers all move together in this massive, coordinated dance to be as efficient as humanly possible. So what does this real network actually look like? Well, it is so much more than just a boat on the water. Let's break down the key pieces that make this whole global machine tick. The real network involves the shipping lines. These are the big companies that own and run the fleets. You've got the vessels themselves, of course. Then you have the ports and terminals, where all the loading and unloading happens. And crucially, you have transshipment hubs. Think of these like the major international airports for cargo. And finally, you've got the inland transport links, all the trucks and trains that connect the port to the warehouse. See? It's a whole ecosystem. This quote just nails it. Ocean freight works on network efficiency, not on the simplicity of one shipment alone. The entire system is built from the ground up to move millions of containers for the lowest possible cost. And that one single goal, efficiency at scale, is what creates all this complexity for any one individual shipment. Okay, let's dive into what is maybe the single most important and least understood part of this whole network. Seriously, if you get this concept, you unlock how it all works: hubs, feeders, and transshipment. The absolute easiest way to understand this is to think about flying. You almost never fly direct from a small town in, say, Nebraska to a small town in southern France. No way. You fly from your local airport to a massive hub like Chicago or Atlanta, and then you get on the big long-haul flight. Well, ocean freight works exactly the same way. Your cargo often connects through a massive seaport hub. And that whole process of connecting has an official name. It's called transshipment. It's just the process of moving cargo from one ship to another at an in-between port. This isn't a problem or a delay. It is a totally standard, planned part of the journey for millions of containers every single day. And this shows that journey perfectly. So let's follow a container. First, it might start its trip on a smaller ship called a feeder vessel from a regional port. Then it sails to a massive hub port, gets unloaded, and sits for a bit. Finally, it gets loaded onto a gigantic mainline vessel, one of those absolute behemoths you see in pictures, for the long trip across the ocean, packed in with thousands of other containers going in the same general direction. So now that we kind of get the physical structure of the network, let's learn a little bit of the language. Like any specialized industry, shipping has its own jargon, and honestly, just knowing a few key terms makes everything a whole lot clearer. Here's a quick rundown. ETD and ETA, that's your estimated time of departure and arrival. And trust me, the key word there is estimated. The cutoff is a big one. It's the absolute hard deadline for getting your cargo and paperwork submitted. You miss it, you're not getting on that boat. And a blank sailing? That's when the shipping line just decides to skip a port or cancel a trip. Maybe because there isn't enough cargo or they're trying to get back on schedule. As you can imagine, that can really throw a wrench in your plans. And all of this leads to a really, really important point about transit time. It is a super common mistake to think this just means how many days the ship is sailing on the water. No. The total transit time includes all the time waiting at ports, the time it takes to get transshipped from one boat to another, and any other potential delays. The at-sea part might only be half of the total journey. So you're probably asking yourself why? Why do all this? Why all this complexity? Why not just have more direct ships? And it all comes down to a fundamental trade-off that is right at the very heart of the entire industry. The incredible strength of this hub-and-spoke network system is its absolutely huge capacity and unbelievably low cost per container. I mean, nothing else on planet Earth can move this much stuff for this little money. But the price you pay for that amazing efficiency is slower speed and a whole lot more complexity and variability than something like air freight. So here it is, the bottom line: Ocean freight is an unbelievably powerful tool. It's what makes our modern global economy possible. But precisely because it's such a complex network, it demands and it seriously rewards great planning. You have to learn to work with the system, not expect the system to bend for your one shipment. And that leaves us with one last, really important question. This entire global machine is built for massive, massive scale, for millions of containers moving in a perfectly timed flow. So the real challenge for anyone shipping goods is this. How do you successfully navigate your single container through that enormous, powerful, and very complex system? That, right there, is the key to mastering ocean freight.